Now, if you're watching this, you're likely a coach who's hovering between 5 to 15K a month, and you've obviously hit a clear plateau. You've probably tried all kinds of strategies, running VSLs, trying this new workshop method, yet no matter what you try, your efforts just don't seem to be bringing you any consistent results, and you're wondering, what should I do now? So that's why I'm breaking down this video and sharing the only strategy that you'll need to know to scale your coaching business to 50K a month or more. And I want to preface that statement by saying, no, this is not fluff bullshit, and I'm definitely not trying to clickbait you here. I'm going to share everything I know, as well as the exact framework that has helped my clients scale drastically and even hit record months in December, which you know is the slowest month of the year. And the best part is that this strategy will work for you no matter what niche you're in. So let's dive into it. Now, I want to set the tone correctly, and that's by saying that consistency in growth and revenue in your business are never random. They're all according to the laws of growth. That means having the right input leading you to the right output. And that is absolutely never random. I'm gonna go a little deep here and maybe a little fluffy, but please bear with me, because I'll refer to a very popular law in physics, aka Newton's third law, which simply states that every action has an opposite and equal reaction. Just think about that one for a second. If you have a ball and you kick it, the ball's gonna move. The action, you kicking the ball, will result into the ball moving and making a distance. Similarly to that, I want you to think about your business like a machine, like a system. If the right processes are in place, every input you give will result into the proper and right output. But at the same time, if just one of your processes is faulty, misaligned, or broken, then the outcome will be completely shit. And ironically, that's the reason why so many info businesses fail, even though they're working many hours. It's either your systems are faulty or your efforts are lackluster. And sure, this may seem really obvious, but I cannot stress how often I onboard new clients or I'm in a call with a prospect, and it just turns out that so many of the systems that they've currently built are really faulty. Because the devil is in the details. If you have a system but it's completely faulty, well, what's that gonna do for you hitting your goals this year? Now let's go one step deeper, because you might be thinking, okay, I might not have the right systems in place to actually scale, but it can't get worse than that, right? Well, it actually can. Because the thing that's worse than that is randomly scaling, not through the right efforts, not through the right intention, and making it work. And a great example of this would be the word virality that every single guru in the space loves to talk about right now. It's become this holy grail, this magic bullet, this silver lining that if you go viral, all your problems are going to be solved forever. Well, I hate to break it to you, but they won't. Because without the right systems in place that we just talked about, there's no way to predictably grow. And now let's just imagine the best case scenario you could get from going viral, which is actually having a content piece pop off and profiting 10 to 20K from it. Okay, great, congrats doing that. But what now? How do you replicate that? How do you suddenly make that work and not fall off? How can you ever predict that outcome ever again? And that's the exact problem that we're trying to tackle here. And if scaling my own business to 6+ figures and helping my clients do the exact same thing has taught me one single thing, it's that consistency and predictability in your business's growth are the best thing you can strive for, and they're never random. In fact, the best businesses always have some form of a system or strategy in place, and that's why you should too. So that's why in this video, I'm breaking down the 4 core fundamental processes broken down, woven into a strategy that you can use to scale your info business. So take your pen and paper and let's dive into it. Okay, so first off, here's an overview of all the 4 processes and how they work together as a strategy, which I like to call the Imminent Growth Framework. The first process is ensuring consistency in traffic to your page or brand. The second process is making sure you nurture that traffic that you've just brought in. The third process, which is where it gets really fun, is having the right conversion mechanisms in place and the right offers. And the fourth is making sure you have the right service delivery dialed in, as well as increasing your customer lifetime value. And the fun part about info businesses, if you're a coach or a creator, is that this system forms the foundation no matter whether you're at 5, 10, 25, or 50K a month. The only difference is that each process is likely built out even further and defined more clearly depending on what type of service you have, your niche, and how you want to run your coaching business. So let's begin at process 1, which is building traffic consistency. This is typically the main problem that I find with most coaching businesses, which is that, hey, yes, you may have a good offer, maybe it's dialed in, maybe it can get some improvements, but what's the point of having offers when there's no traffic, no one seeing you or knowing that you exist? And coincidentally, this is also the first step inside of your funnel, which is making sure people find out about who you are. And in order to approach this correctly, what you want to make sure you do is understand traffic sources. So there's two types of traffic sources I want to differentiate here. The first are unqualified traffic, and the second is qualified traffic. And this is how I differentiate between the two. Unqualified traffic kind of speaks for itself, but these are views, eyeballs, and potential prospects you do not want viewing your personal brand. You do not want them in your ecosystem. And why is that? Because they're low in buying intent, they're pretty low in quality, and they're absolutely not your ideal persona. And contrary to what a lot of people believe, there's typically not any life cycle in which they will convert to be your actual client. And on the other hand, we have qualified traffic, which is typically where your money will be coming from as a coach. And just to be clear, I define qualified traffic as your actual prospects, regardless of the stages they're in, whether they're cold, warm, hot, or super hot leads. We'll get into that in just a moment. Because what this process is all about is maximizing the right traffic, in other words, qualified traffic and eyeballs you get to your brand, to your offers, and minimizing the unqualified traffic that comes to your brand or offers. And you're probably wondering, well, isn't all traffic good? Well, not exactly. And if you're actually building traffic the wrong way, you could hurt your brand on the long term, and you really do not want to do that. To make it clear for you, let me sketch a hypothetical situation. Let's say it's your goal to scale to 50K a month, and you're currently selling a 5K high ticket offer. Now let's assume it's high ticket right here, not mid or low ticket, just for the sake of this example. Now, let's assume your typical closing ratio is about 25% on sales calls. This would mean that to scale to 50K a month, basically closing 10 5K offers, what you need to do is have conducted on average 40 calls. And now let's say to actually book those 40 calls, you'll need to have 400 conversations on a monthly basis. It might seem a lot, but this is typically industry average. Okay, great, we've got the numbers, but here is the crux. The only people that will actually convert out of those 400 who want to work with you and who you're going to make your 50K a month with are people who are qualified. Keyword qualified traffic. Now what that means is all you have to do is bring 400 qualified conversations to your business a month. Simple, right? Great. But now let's just imagine you did a really cool reel and you went viral. Congrats. And now you got 20,000 conversations. First of all, good luck qualifying all of those conversations. Having them in the first place will take you a gazillion hours of time. Then making sure that these people actually are the right persona, prospect, and they actually will work with you. And then qualifying it down to 400 of those conversations, which you should have to book 40 calls with, so that you can scale to your 50K a month. Get what I'm saying here? And that's the issue with going viral. So what I'm essentially saying here is you want to get the right traffic to know about your business and your page, and as much of them as possible. The way I want you to think about it is a simple question. How can I possibly reach the right audience 24/7 without getting the bad ones? And sure, cold outreach is one way to do that, and no, I'm not going to recommend you do that, absolutely not. What I suggest you do instead is use the highest ROI method that I possibly know of right now in the industry, both short and long term, and that's running targeted top of funnel profile visit ads directly to your profile on Instagram in this case, where your prospects, the exact high quality traffic, will find you and interact with your profile. And this is also the strategy that I've used to help my client Sophia close over 22.5K last December, which was also the slowest month of the year. So to round off, the whole point of this process is that you reach the right audience, speak to them, and do so at scale. All right, now we get the second process, which is nurturing your audience, which is arguably also the most important step in this system. And the simple reason is because of this one keyword, sales cycles. It's technically not one keyword, but two. Anyways, now the thing about sales cycles is that they're quite unpredictable. It can range anywhere from a few days to months, and if not even years. And to take it one step further, there's typically two types of cycles you want to keep in mind when you're building your system. The first is the customer's individual journey, and this has nothing to do with your product or service. This simply represents the moment that your prospect might get some kind of urge that they need help with a certain problem, until the moment they actually start looking for help and coincidentally stumbling upon your service in order to solve that, or maybe someone else's service. And second is your sales cycle, and this represents the moment that someone finds out about your service to actually converting and buying. And what you want to do is typically kind of like find that conversion point between these two cycles. And if you're thinking, okay, what the actual F is this math? Well, I've got good news for you, because this is where nurturing is literally the holy grail. It's the differentiator, and if anything, the only thing you can really do to impact your customer journey as well as the sales cycle for your product or service. And to do this effectively, spoiler alert, you need a personal brand. And that's basically because we live in the moment within this digital age where everyone is incredibly informed. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of the exact same offer as the one you're offering. So what the heck actually is the difference between working with you and some other person on the internet? What makes you unique? What makes your audience beg to work for you? And that's where nurturing is key. What you want to do is create a personal brand, a brand that's personal to you, that shows what you stand for, who you are, why working with you would be the best decision that everyone could ever make, not only what solution you can bring them. And quick segue, I made a full video breaking down my entire personal branding strategy for 2025. So if you want to give that a watch and properly approach that, I'm going to link it down below. Anyways, back to the main topic. Aside from having a personal brand in place, what you also want is a clear funnel. You want that because the moment that someone actually finds out about you, figures out what you do, that you have some kind of value that you can offer them, you also want to be positioned as the person who can do that for them, who can help them, who can guide them from point A to B, which essentially will function as a lubricant to speed up their individual customer journey, because they'll realize, hey, I need some help sooner than I might have thought, and at the same time impacting your own sales process way quicker. Now, fun fact about this, Google recently did a study in which they found that in order for someone to properly buy your service or product, they need 7 hours of time spent with you across 11 different touch points and 4 different platforms, which is pretty crazy. Now, please take this information with a grain of salt because it doesn't really properly represent each individual's customer journey, and it's super different per niche, but you get the point. And to reinforce that point even further, Ravi Abufala, the founder of Scaling with Systems, recently described how one of his clients' sales funnels was drastically improved the moment they implemented a YouTube personal brand funnel. For example, the average sales cycle coming from ads took about 36 days, in which the average sales cycle coming from a YouTube video took 5 days. That's a drastic difference in time between when someone ends up finding out about you and converts into your potential buyer. And that's a crazy stat. So the best way to really create this process is, first of all, having a really clear landing page. And in 2025, please make that your Instagram or your LinkedIn, in this case, the place where people can find you most often, the social hub where you'll be hanging, because that's where they're going to get to know you most often. Second, have a really good long-term content nurturing platform in place, something like YouTube, like I'm doing in this video, or something like maybe a VSL. And third, which is arguably the most important part, is have some form of an appointment setting system in place, which is simply just a system that makes it so that when you have a cold audience that came in, they've now been nurtured by your content. That audience doesn't just sit there on their chairs going, today I'm going to decide to work with Vincent, which is never going to happen. Have some kind of a system in place that actively opens up conversations so that you connect with your audience, and at one point, if they need help, you're the right person to just follow through with. So to round off this process, the most important thing that I want you to understand is that nurturing is not about selling. This stage is absolutely not about making any sales, but it's the stage that is crucial in what leads to you actually converting and making sales. Because what you want to do is inform your audience as much as possible. Make sure they understand you're here to help them, what you can help them with, how you help them, and they actually see you as the professional, the person who can bring that value to them. Because the moment their customer journey reaches a point where they need help and you've warmed them up properly in your own sales cycle, well, that's when you're going to get that conversion. All right, this pulls me down to process 3, which is actually where business gets fun. And this is the process known as the conversion, as well as the offer process. Because basically you've done all the hard work in step 1 and 2, which is you finally found out how to get that right traffic to your page. You've created all this content and nurtured them, and they're quite warm and ready to buy. So how do you actually sell to them? To break this down, there are 2 really important parts in process number 3. The first is obviously creating the right offers. Now, this is an entire topic by itself, which should have its own dedicated video, which I'm doing in the nearby future, but I'm going to break it down a little bit easier in this one. To sum it up, what you want to have is the right offer suite that you can offer at any time to any prospect inside of your funnel. A big trend of 2024 and before that was to have one key offer that you could offer to your entire audience. But there was a big problem with that, and I'm going to tell you why it's not really working that well in 2025. And the reason why it's not working as much is because your audience's needs are drastically shifting, and you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you do not serve your audience in where they're at. Let's do a hypothetical here. In any point of time right now, only 20% of your audience right now again is qualified to work with the offer you have. So what would happen with the remaining 80% who is unable to be served? Well, it's very likely that in today's age and society, what's going to happen is there's going to be another info provider, another coach who offers the exact same thing as you, but they just offer it the way that remaining 80% of your prospects need. And as a result, you lose all of them. And they'll convert to your competitor, and basically you've lost your pipeline value for good. So what I suggest you use is hybrid offers. No, I did not create that term, but I like to act as if I did. Essentially, you want an offer suite that whenever someone steps into your ecosystem and needs your support, you can literally take it out of your bag at any moment and offer it to them. Think of it this way. If you're a business coach helping clients scale from 10 to 50K a month, then you might have that one prospect who really, really needs your close support, who wants to work dedicated, who's willing to invest up to 10K into your coaching. Super awesome, right? But what about that person who doesn't have the budget, which maybe sounds a little bit silly, but they don't have the budget or they're just not willing to spend it, but they do want to have some form of proximity access to you, for example, in a group call? Or about the buyer who needs your help, yet they're not able to invest into that close-based coaching because they don't have that time to invest into it and still, again, don't want to invest it? Well, maybe they should just get a low-ticket course or some kind of a mid-ticket course instead. The point here is you want to have different offers in place that you could literally call upon any moment and in a way are productized. A few offers you want to keep in mind here are low ticket offers. These are great to get people inside of your ecosystem while still meeting some of their needs. Typically low commitment, and they're a great way to get people to start working with you. Mid-ticket offers are also good because they typically see higher commitment levels, and they're also a great way to give people just that limited amount of proximity access to you, for example, in group calls, while still working with them. And of course, they're also easier to scale because you can let a lot more people inside of a mid-ticket offer when it's a group program. And lastly, you have high-ticket offers, which are super awesome in my opinion. Also my favorite offers because they're super high in value. You can really make lasting transformations, but of course, you're quite limited in your time when you're running high-ticket offers just because you have to give so much to a single person. And what I really want to emphasize here is the key isn't to limit yourself to one of these offers, but much rather instead have a whole suite of offers ready for your customers whenever they need one. And then the second part of this process is having the right conversion mechanisms in place once you of course have the right offer suite. And this really depends on your audience and the value that you're trying to bring to their customer journey. Think of it this way. If your offer is highly valuable and higher in price, it also means that the commitment level for your audience to actually purchase this will be way higher. So depending on your niche and the type of offers you have in place, here's a suggestion from my end. If you're selling low or mid-ticket offers, make sure you have a good landing page or sales page in place that is optimized to convert to your audience. And if you're going mid-ticket, you really want to consider using a waitlist mechanism or something like seasonal launches in order to really drive commitment up. Because again, the higher the price of your offer, the higher commitment you're asking from your prospects, which also means that they'll have a lot more questions and want to know a lot more before they make a decision to buy, and naturally have way more objections. And of course, you want to make sure you overcome them as much as possible while driving urgency. And then if you're going the high ticket route, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you really need to implement the correct appointment setting funnel. High tickets are really high in value and high in price, as well as the level of commitment they require from the people going for them. And unless you have a really well-established and well-known personal brand like Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, Daniel Dallin, that's why you're going to want to have some form of personalized conversations with your prospects in the form of a sales call or a DM conversation to qualify their intent, to make sure there's the right match, and so that you can create the proper gap as well as frame for your audience to understand that your offer is the right one, is super valuable, and will help them with whatever they're going through and they want to solve the problem in this case. And 90% of the time, this will mean going into some form of a sales call. It is possible to sell through DMs, but it's just not the most optimal way if you haven't established yourself as much yet. Now, having these three core processes in place already should hypothetically be enough to scale you to 50K a month, assuming you get the right traffic, you nurture it, and you're consistently able to convert. But here's the fourth process that a lot of people forget about, which actually forms as a flywheel and actually accelerates your process even further if you have it implemented right. And that fourth process is increasing lifetime value and really delivering awesome service. And look, I know that may seem really obvious you should do this, but if you do not deliver a really incredible and impactful transformative service, all the previous processes just have no purpose at all. Yes, you're gonna make a lot of money, but it's unethical and you're really not going to keep that status up for very long. And even better, the fourth process is the most gratifying, because if you have it dialed in and implemented the correct way, you're able to literally change the life of people you work with. And that's amazing. Because the hidden mechanism that a lot of people forget about is that yes, it's possible to scale by acquiring a lot more clients, but you could also grow a lot more by actually delivering a greater service and increasing their lifetime value. Just imagine this for a moment. You're selling a high ticket offer of 5K for 3 months, and after these 3 months, you've helped your client go from point A to point B, and you've changed their life. Now that they've hit point B, what do you do next? There's typically 2 options. Either you completely stop the service and there they go out of your ecosystem just like that, and you focus on getting a lot more new customers, or you do that and either you now help that exact client maintain the results that they achieved at point B, or you now create a new product that brings them from point B to point C. And point C here referring to an even more desirable outcome that they're looking for. The crazy thing is that you can literally double, triple, or even quadruple the lifetime value of your customers if you have the right upsell or downsell in place. In this case, an upsell could be something like a higher ticket offer that could get them to an even better result. Or an example of a downsell could be something like a maintenance package in which your client can keep access to the program they got into or some kind of a community. There's a lot of options to go with this. Either way, the point is that you have these mechanisms in place so you can not only help and serve your audience, but you can also grow your business that way. And this is also the mechanism that typically allows a coaching business to scale beyond the 30K a month mark, or actually hit far beyond 50K, because at one point you have created such a big audience, you've nurtured it down, you've delivered a great service, and now you're just continuously not only getting in new customers, but you're also increasing the value that you're delivering to the existing ones. And this is what you call a flywheel effect. So to conclude this video, growing your business is a planned effort of consistently having the right systems, processes, and efforts in place. And in this video, I've broken down the entire system and all the processes plus efforts you need to do in order to scale your coaching business, your info business, or even your business as a creator to 50K a month or more. And I want to emphasize the key here is to have every single process dialed in and to start from top to bottom. If for some reason you're not realizing the outcomes you've always wanted, well, it's really likely you need to take a look at your system, the processes you're currently running, and figure out, hey, which one of them is currently broken? Where am I currently having a bottleneck inside of my business? And once you identify it with this system, you can improve it and actually make a good change. Now I know achieving that is a lot easier said than done. So if you're a coach, a creator, or an info business owner ready to take your business to the next level and actually hit those 50K months, then just hit me up on Instagram and DM me Grow. And I'd love to reach out to see how I could potentially help you scale your business. Each month I open up a few spots to scale some awesome info businesses. So this one's for you if you're ready to grow. And if this video helped, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment with your thoughts. I've got a lot more videos coming up. In the next videos I'm posting, I'm going a lot deeper into these exact processes and what they look like. And I'm really excited to share that with you. So hope to share it soon.